And good morning, folks. Today is Wednesday, the 14th of January. Welcome to Mark's Business Check-In Show. As I was telling people who are listening to us already on TikTok, we are live every morning, every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. For about 20 minutes, just talking about business and talking about different things that affect business. As I said, my name is Mark Beggs, and I've been in business for about 30, 25 years. A lot of that has been working for myself in different, all different types of companies, from internet, advertising, pet insurance, DVD rentals, hygiene, pet insurance, bookkeeping, financial service company. I've worked in a whole load of different industries, and so I have a lot of experience in running businesses. Some of them have done really well. Some of them have been a flop. I've made money, I've lost money, I've made money, I've lost money. As I said, some of them have gone really well. Some we've sold, some we've had to close down because it didn't go well. And that's just the nature of working for yourself. Some of your stuff will work and some of your stuff won't work. I just remind people, if you're looking for any of the episodes that have been on already, you'll on YouTube. We're live on LinkedIn, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, we're also live on TikTok. You can find all the past shows, all the shows we've done so far on YouTube, and the handle is at Mind's Eye Education. So if you just go on there. So this morning I want to talk to you about something that the word that worries a lot of people, and that's the failure. And the first thing I want to say to you is, when you run your own business, you have loads of failures every single day. You have loads of failures in business every single day when you're running your own company. When you're the boss, or when it's your own business, you set up a company, you do have a lot of things that will fail every day. And I suppose the big challenge for us is how we view failure, especially when you're running your own company. And there's different levels of failure. Like, some failures can be catastrophic and end your whole business. But other failures ain't so bad. And it's really, if anyone's into golf or any type of sports or Formula One or stuff like that, they will see that when these people are racing or playing golf and they lose, they have to learn to put that match or that game or that race out of their mind for the next one. Yes, they can look back and see what happened, what didn't work well, and why it didn't work well. But then they just need to move on. And one of the big challenges of running your own company is that every day we're going to come across stuff that isn't going to work, that's going to fail. It could be you've worked a long time or a good few weeks on a new marketing campaign to launch a new product or a new service within your company. And after a couple of days, you suddenly realize this new product or new service is not working. It's just not working. And the trick is, then you have to fail fast and move on. So you have to fail fast and move on. And not an awful lot of people can do that. An awful lot of people like to hang on. An awful lot of people like to hang on to something because it's their baby and it was their idea. And they feel that because they put some time into it, some effort into it, that they need to keep hanging on to that idea. Sorry, I've lost my voice again. Or that idea. So when you're running your own company, one of the things you've got to get very, very used to is that word failure. And as I said, to a lot of people, that's a huge word. It's a massive word. And they can't get over that word, because when they feel they failed at something, they feel that they can't go on. And yet, if you look in the States, if you're running your own business in the States and something fails, they see it more as a badge of honor, because you've learned from the experience. And if you learn from the experience of something failing, then you will take that experience with you forward into your next endeavor and your next company and your next project. And that's why I say to people who are going to start their own company and start their own business, if you are starting your own business, you really, really need to get used to this thing, that there was that a lot of elements of what you're doing won't work. And if you talk to a lot of people who run their own businesses, and maybe they're 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years down the road now, a lot of them will say that where they thought the company would be today, it's not what their plan was. That they've had to change so many times during the life cycle of the business, that when they started off the business and they hoped to have a certain type of client, hoped to have a certain type of business, that never happened. It never happened. And where their plan was to be in 5 years' time, that they're actually somewhere else. And hopefully it's a better place. And maybe a lot of them will tell you that if they had gone as planned, they would have probably lost the business and closed down. Because of things in the environment and things outside their control, and maybe things that customers want that don't want, likes and dislikes, that the company has gone down a different road. And so where they were hoping to have it's now in a different place. But the different place is more than likely a stronger place. It's more than likely a better place for them as a whole. So they feel much better now where their business is. And that's why, and if you also ask them, like we've all seen it, like you see the high profile stuff like certain, like Guinness or Coke Light and other products, well-known products, which which companies launched and then failed. But there's many businesses out there, service businesses, business with products. Remember, we had the hygiene company and we launched a product, and it was a special type of cleaner for working, and that you put on your back like a Hoover for cleaning areas and all like that. But we found that an awful lot of companies didn't want to pay the price for that product. And even though we worked hard, it took us a few months to get the license for the product, it took us a few months to put the whole marketing together. We even had one of our vans completely wrapped advertising the product. It became and we taught a lot of our customers who had cleaning contracts and who had people in doing cleaning work, that this would make the cleaning better, make it easier because you're carrying the equipment, and also make the place much cleaner. We thought this product would do extremely well. The product didn't do well. The product failed. And it wasn't the product's fault, because in the UK, in certain parts of the UK, the product does really well. But our customer base and how we were pushing it wasn't working. And we are putting a lot of energy into it. And they weren't cheap machines. We bought 2 or 3 machines to hold in stock. They weren't cheap machines. And we gave demos and we did all that type of stuff to customers and all, and people weren't biting. So we took the decision, right, it's taken up a lot of time, a lot of resources. We just dumped the product. We dumped it. And even though when we started it, I was hoping that it would be a big part of the company and we would be going into that type of area of actually supplying not just the products, like the washing up liquid and the detergents and the bleaches and all that we now supply some of the equipment to do the cleaning. We were supplying mops and buckets and all that. We wanted to go to the next level, but we had to dump that product. And then another product we went into start to do very well was providing the sanitary bin business. That went well until COVID came along and changed the whole look of the business, completely changed the whole look of the business. So when you're running your own business, yes, one of the big challenges is actually saying that isn't working and moving on. And the bigger your company gets, the more employees you take on. That's a harder thing to do, because when you have employees, maybe somebody working in marketing and somebody working in sales, and they've worked at something for a while, they form an ownership and a loyalty towards that new service or that new product. And it's very hard for you then to get those individuals to drop that, because they feel they've invested their time and their energy. And because they're not entrepreneurs, they're not people like yourself who start businesses and run businesses. They're people who like working 9 to 5 and they like the comfort of what they're doing. And suddenly they take it very, very personal when you say we need to dump that, because they see failure as a huge word, massive word. And because they see failure as a massive word, they can't drop what they're doing. And then compared to when you started your own business and you were a one-person operation and you could work with people and you made your own decisions and you decided if you want to drop something, you do it now. Now, as your company gets bigger, it gets harder, So you need to install a type of culture within your own company. And Google do it very well, Facebook do it very well, and a lot of other big American tech companies do it very well. They tell people that try, and Amazon do it. Amazon have done products that haven't worked in the marketplace, just haven't taken off them, or services that haven't worked. But they don't let their staff see it as a mark against them, or that is a bad move to drop a product. But to them, they're saying, you tried it, we tested it, it hasn't worked. So let's stop wasting time and money on it and go on to the next thing that may be even better. And that's how it works. And you never know what the better thing is going to be, because a lot of times when you go a certain way and you do a certain thing, maybe the product or the service that has failed in your company may open another door to something else that will be very, very successful, very, very successful, and lead to a lot of revenue and a lot of new customers. So sometimes failure is just you closing one door and opening another door that will lead you down a new path that is much better for your organization and for your company. And that's why when you're working for yourself, and if you call yourself an entrepreneur, you call yourself self-employed, whatever what you call yourself, you do learn to get the mindset that something isn't working. It's not failure. It just hasn't worked. You don't really use the word failure. You just say it hasn't worked, so I'm moving on. And that's exactly what you do. You move on. And that's one of the traits that anyone working for themselves. And as I said, we did it in the hygiene business, we did it in the pet food business, we did it in the DVD business. Certain things we were trying to do and make happen weren't working. And if it wasn't working, then you just move on. We did it when we had Indigo, when we launched products before, when ISDN lines and other stuff was there. But we launched corporate products and products into the workplace and into the consumer market. And if they didn't work, we just dropped them. And yeah, I'll tell you a very good story about one product we launched was to stop children looking at porn on the internet. So we worked long and hard to get this product to work. We tested it, came from the States, and you load it up onto your computer, and it would stop anyone looking at certain porn sites. So your children, it would block your children from looking at any of these sites. And we put a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of effort into launching this product. And we had the launch. We had Marion Finucane, the late Marion Finucane, who used to work for RTE and used to be the first person that used to have live line on RT2. And Marion launched it in the Stevens Green Shopping Centre. And we had a lot of press there. And it was a fantastic launch. And I thought we were going to sell thousands of these products. It was a fantastic launch. But we only sold two of those products. No one was interested. The PR and the news agencies and all were interested in this new product to stop children looking at porn. But the parents who had to buy it and put it on their machines, and this was before iPhones and tablets, they weren't interested. They weren't buying it. However, we were very short of cash, and the company was running on fumes. We were very short of cash, and the company was running on fumes. What it did for us was all that PR, including being on the lead story on the RT News at 6 o'clock, in the Irish Times, the front page next morning, of the Independent newspaper the next day, in the Herald the next day, because we got so much PR from it, we got new finance. And our financial backers gave us more time to find a buyer for the company. So, in one hand, the product launch was a success. The product selling was a failure. But the byproduct of that product was that it opened up an awful lot of doors for people to invest in our company, and for our present shareholders who are losing confidence in us, because internet companies were losing a lot of money at that stage, and you couldn't go to a bank for a loan because banks weren't interested in companies that still not who are losing money, no matter what they may look like in the future. They did not like it. So that product crashed and burned. When we sold the company, we still had load that product in the cupboard. right? People didn't want to buy the product, even though the product, I think, was only about £10. And it was very simple to load onto your computer, and it would make sure that you had peace of mind that the children couldn't look at porn on the internet. No one cared about that. But it was a great news story. And because it was a great news story, it brought us down a different road. And it brought us down to a road that we then bought and sold the company to Eircom. So the product failed and we dumped it, and we had no choice but to dump it because nobody was buying it, nobody wanted it, nobody was interested in that product. And so we dumped the product. And that shows you that you need to move fast. That sometimes a failed product or a failed service may open a door to other stuff. And that's what being an entrepreneur and being a business owner and being self-employed is all about, is that you have to be able to move fast. You have to be able to move fast, and you have to take slowness and and take it at the pace that it's given. We all would like, everyone running their own business would all like things to go faster. We'd all like sales to go faster. We'd all like new customers to come on board faster. We'd all like new products to sell faster. We all want it to happen fast. But the reality of life is it doesn't happen fast. People don't work to our timetable. And you learn that when you're self-employed. You learn it very quickly. Because when you launch your own company, you probably have a plan of doing certain stuff and hitting certain targets and things happening to your business in a certain way fairly quickly. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen that way. Like, I have 2 or 3 projects on the go at the moment. One is way behind schedule, some of it through our fault, but now it's in someone else's hands. But I need that product to work because I've bills to pay for it. And only a few bills to pay for it, but we have bills to pay for it. And I would like that project to be finished so we can pay these bills. I have other stuff that's going really well. And my wife has just launched a new product for women, a new service called the Identity Edge, to help women who will come back into the workplace, will help women whose children have flown the nest, or women who have lost confidence in themselves. And so they're having a big launch, a virtual launch on 26th of January. And hopefully that'll go extremely well. Her and the lady Lucy, and they put a lot of effort into that. So when you're self-employed, sometimes you have one thing going on. Sometimes you have 5 or 6 or 7 things going on, but they all come back to one source. So I suppose my lesson this morning say to you, I've had a lot of things that haven't worked out, and some I've been annoyed at, some I haven't been happy with. Others I realised, and the majority, that they didn't work out for a reason, and that reason opened other doors. So if you are going into business for yourself, or you think you're going into business for yourself, or you are in business for yourself, don't get hung up on something that's failing. As I've said before, and I wrote an article many years ago about saying, fail, but fail fast. If something isn't working, if you've launched a new service, you've launched a new product, and it's not working, learn to dump it, learn from it, and learn to move on. They are the key elements in all that type of stuff. That I would say to you this morning. So if you're looking at your cash flow, or you're looking at what your to-do list, and you're looking at what products are selling, there's no point saying you have 5,000 products or 500 products or 100 products, and yet only 20 of those products bring in 80% of your turnover. You should be looking and saying, right, the products at the end of that list, why are we buying them? Why are we holding them in stock? Why are they not moving? Do we need to just dump them, get them off our books, because they're taking up too much time, too much money, too much effort, and it's not worth a while. And that's why you keep evolving. So failure is more about you as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a self-employed person, evolving all the time. You're learning, you're evolving, you're moving on. And the trick as you take on more staff then is bringing that culture of what you've learned to those staff, like other big companies have done, to let people who work for you know that something isn't working out. Say it out loud. Come and talk to you as the business owner and explain why it's not working out. Maybe we might have to change it slightly, or maybe we just have to dump it. And the more your staff realize that failure, it's not a bad word. It's actually a grown-up word that you're willing to put your hand up and say, this isn't working out. I'm really sorry. We've tried our best. We're going to have to stop this service. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it needs to be done. So that's my morning chat for this morning. I hope you enjoyed it. I really appreciate you joining me today. I'm really grateful that you've taken the time to listen to me for, whether it's for 2 or 3 minutes online, whether it's for the whole 20 minutes to listen to the whole show. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. I'm very grateful for it. We are live every morning on Instagram, on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook at 7:30 a.m. every weekday morning for about 20 minutes. So I've been on 20 minutes here now. We're live a bit longer on TikTok. I usually stay on TikTok for about 5 minutes more. And if you do have any queries and you don't want to ask them online, which I fully understand, just email me, markbeggs@gmail.com. You see on the banner there's my email address. If you want to look at any shows, any past shows, we've been doing this since the 6th of January. If you want to look at any past shows, just go on to our YouTube channel at Mind's Eye Education. And on the live, you'll find all the past shows. And they're usually up there within about 15 minutes of the show ending, because they're automatically recorded on YouTube and they automatically go up there. So to everybody on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, thanks so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. Have a great Wednesday, and I hope you have time to drop by again tomorrow or Friday and have a chat and have a talk about being a business owner, being self-employed, or running a business on behalf of someone else. So to those people, thanks so much. Good morning. Have a great day.